Hey, this is Kevin with the Comics Crowd bringing you what's new in Kickstarter comics for January 23rd, 2025. Well, that total Kickstarter comic census ticked over 200 again yesterday, with 23 big launches in the category. There's a lot to choose from, so it's incumbent upon me to pull the best of those comics to the top and out of the mire for your shopping convenience. Fortunately, the community of crowdfunding comics creators came through with more than one-third of the day's drops yielding high-level and intriguing books. But first, let's weed through everything else. And we'll start with comics projects that are not comics. There's an art book called Insatiable, an erotic celebration of women who love to eat. Okay. Then there's some projects that are missing most of the elements of a comic, including one called The Shift Project, another called The Scion of the Scrap Heap, issue number 1, and Weirdos, some anagram, volume 1. And there were a lot that just missed the cut this week for a variety of reasons. I'll go over some of those. Some just didn't quite get to the level of the ones that did make the cut to comic I like status. So if I don't give a specific reason, they're just not quite as good looking. They just don't pass the eye test that the better books did. Just that simple. Let's go down the list real quick. Of course, there'll be links to all of these in the show notes. Start with Phantom Realm, DREAM.FIGHT.SURVIVE, number 1. This is really developmental level art and design. That's why I didn't make it to the next level comic I like badge. Juice Man, issue number 9. Mind Freak, The Salvaged She-Newt, issue number 9. Haunted Safari, Monsters Paradise. This is a 4-panel gag strip. Not really what I'm looking for in comics on Kickstarter. Dark Pink Comics. There's no interior art samples for this book. And for me, I just don't know how you make an informed decision without seeing the sequential art for a comic when you're being sold a comic. Next is Scornwood, a graphic novel, parenthetically surrealism and horror. This is an underground style comic. Doesn't appeal much to me. You might like it. So if underground comics are your thing, check it out. Heroic Shenanigans Volume 3. There's just no story info on what's happening in this book. Pure Intent number 3, plus Mistress Azumi's Adult Lessons. This is a porn cover mill, nothing more. There's no story focus. There's no interior art samples. Then we've got Crooked Little Town, which just has not enough information or images on the campaign page to make a decision about whether it's going to be a good comic at the end of the day. And then The Little Mermaid and the Pirate Queen number 1, a sapphic adventure. Personally, I just find sexualization of children's characters, our children's book characters or fairy tale characters, distasteful. I just can't elevate it up to the comic I like status. Just not for me. Comics I like. And we'll start with Blam and Glam comic issues 1 through 10 plus figures by Richard Morgan. This is the new issue of the hit comic sci-fi series set in an alternative 2020-2021 where a woman with amnesia battles demonic mecha monsters. Our protagonist is a woman who wakes up with no memories, dressed in latex, who discovers this apocalyptic London deserted except for demonic mecha machines and a handful of rebels left trying to defeat them. Okay, this is not safe for work, but it is heavily invested in story and interior sequential art. There's plenty of samples of art. There's plenty of information about the story. This one has an initial funding goal of $1,234. Quaint. An end date of February 11th with estimated delivery in April. Doesn't specify the number of pages. We're seeing that constantly right now. The lowest digital tier price is $9. The lowest print tier price is $10. Really beautiful cover art design across several nude and clothes cover options. Exquisite, digitally painted interior art colors and composition. This is really a great looking book. Not safe for work or not. It does ship from the UK, so keep the postage in mind when you're backing. Next up is Slight Return, a supernatural rock and roll thriller by Marcus McNeil. The byline of Some Deals with the Devil Come with Strings Attached. Part macabre chamber piece and part rock and roll swan song, Slight Return brings classic American crossroads mythology to modern day and cranks it up to 11. Very cool story concept here. Selling your soul to the devil for musical acumen. Initial funding goal of $5,000, end date of February 20th. Estimated delivery in August. It's a 48-page comic, so nice, healthy page count. lowest digital tier price of $10, lowest print tier price of $20. Really gritty, fascinating cover art and design, and stylized, grungy interior art, color, and composition. This is a cool looking book. It kind of looks like something that would come out of the old DC Piranha Press at the end of the 80s, early 90s, maybe Vertigo at one point or another. I recommend checking it out. We've got a steampunk book called Sky Guy and the Altitude Adjusters, issue number 1, by Alan Silverwood and Pop Skull Press. This is the first issue of a cozy steampunk comic series, Mutants, Magic, and More. 32 pages, full color. Prepare to enter a fascinating world of steampunk, mutants, and perhaps a bit of magic. Sometimes the strongest potential for hope arises from the worst of times. It's got an initial funding goal of $2,500, end date of February 27th, estimated delivery in July. It's 32 pages, with the lowest digital tier price of $5, lowest print tier price of $25. That's pricey for a 32-page comic, but it might be worth it if you take a look at it. Solid cover art and design, great art, color, and composition. Fun steampunk book. Quite a few of those, as I wrote in an article on my other Substack last week. Then we have Pantheon number 1, a new age superhero comic by Andre Berkeley. Embark on an epic journey of heroism as Pantheon goes from zero to hero in this all-new action-packed superhero adventure. Meet Ashton Adams, a teenage boy on the cusp of becoming the newest hero of this age, chosen by the gods to represent them for the upcoming threat long since locked away. Really fun cover art design on this project, a dynamic, bombastic interior art, color, and composition. Standard superhero fare, but professionally pulled off here. It looks great. Initial funding goal of $5,000, end date of February 20th, estimated delivery in April. This one's 32 pages as well, with the lowest digital tier price of $7, the lowest print tier price of $12. So that's much more fair for $32. A lot of great books on this day. Next up is Bereavement, a sci-fi murder mystery with a touch of Pixar by Bruno Caterino. This is a 36-page sci-fi murder mystery one-shot about loss, grief, and the human condition. Zara, a therapist working for the Space Exploration Agency, is called to the Jupiter base to consult on Amelia, an explorer and her former patient. Just really eye-catching cover art and design, sharp, expressive interior art, color, and composition. Really pretty book to look at. Has an initial funding goal of $333 with an end date of February 7th. Estimated delivery in April. Lowest digital tier price of $8. Lowest print tier price of $21. And then we have the ever-present, highly successful, long-running Miskatonic High, number 25, The Breakfast Club vs. Cthulhu by Mike Shea. When the school play, an 80s Brat Pack movie, goes awry, the teens must survive their worst Lovecraft nightmares. It's a special giant issue. If you like your horror mixed with tongue-in-cheek humor and a bit of unexpected drama like Buffy, Evil Dead, or Get Out, you'll probably enjoy Miskatonic High. $300 initial funding goal, end date of February 20th, estimated delivery in April. 37 big pages with a lowest digital tier price of $6, lowest print tier price of $12. On-point cover art and design with some throwback energy to the John Hughes movies of the 80s. Exemplary interior art, color, and composition. Then we have Tales from the Toxic Pond, number 1 through 4, an EC-inspired horror comic book by Daniel J. Torres. This is the fourth standalone installment of the Twilight Zone and EC Comics-inspired horror series Tales from the Toxic Pond. It's a Make 100 project. Newly engaged horror fanatics Chaz and Monique make a birthday wish and get more than they bargained for when they decide to break into the long-abandoned Green Gables house, the most legendary haunted house in Toxic Pond. Fun, retro parody cover art and design with a macabre Vertigo-style interior art, color, and composition. This one has an initial funding goal of $1,500 and end date of February 20th, estimated delivery in March. It's 24 pages with a lowest digital tier price of $5, a lowest print tier price of $12. I told you there were a lot. We're still going. Cyan, Thief of Kor Savara, number 1 by Craig A. Taliaferro. A double-sized sword and sorcery comic by Craig A. Taliaferro, wizards, demons, thieves, and an adventure heroine for the ages. This is Cyan's world, the depths of the lower city, an underbelly of vice, danger, and shadows where she plies her trade as a cat burglar and thief for hire. Classic sword and sorcery cover art and design. Awesome detailed grayscale interior art and composition. An initial funding goal of $558 with an end date of February 12th. Estimated delivery in April is 48 big pages with a $5 lowest digital tier price. That's cheap for 48 pages. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck there. Lowest print tier price of $9, even cheaper. You're not going to find much on Kickstarter in the range of 48 pages for $9 for a print book. So check that one out. Really nice looking, classic 70s, 80s style sword and sorcery book. And lastly, we have Horns in Hell number 1 through 3, a demented Saturday morning cartoon by Alan and Will. A pink rabbit from hell makes friends. Just kidding, he kills a lot of stuff. You can get the previous issues. Horus, the mighty devourer of the netherworld, was snatched from his victory over the angels by a very drunk magician. That's quite a byline. Killer in-your-face cover art and design, highly stylized, terrific interior art, color, and composition. An initial funding goal of $2,000 with an end date of February 11th, 2025. Estimated delivery in June. 24 pages with a lowest digital tier price of $6. Lowest print tier price of $11. Wednesday was surprisingly slow in the Kickstarter comics category, following the 20-plus launches on Tuesday, and with the reduced volume, so dropped the number of remarkable comics among the bunch. There's one called Earth Dragons that shares only a single page of sequential art and the most rudimentary lettering, almost nothing about story, and no cover image. There's just nothing there. 90% of the campaign page text is about the dream of telling stories and making comics instead of about, an actual comic. Show me you can make it well and that you really made the critical parts of it, and I will support it. A couple of drops include all the basic elements of a comic book, but just don't quite meet the same production values as the best of the day. One of those is Astromon Starborn S1, an interactive webtoon adventure. It's not really a comic. It's shooting for a choose-your-own-adventure vibe. And then there's another called Let's Hunt Monsters, the series number 2. Then we have Dave Sims' Can 11 plus Naruto Bus, which takes potential fans of the Cerebus creator for granted by not offering a single word about the story in either of the new comics offered in this campaign. It's really surprising that a campaign by a creator of this magnitude shows only 44 backers after 24 hours. But the Kickstarter page is honestly exceedingly busy and confusing and lacks basic direction to backers on what's being offered. I couldn't figure it out. As for comics I like, there are a few from Wednesday. We'll start with My Sexy Witch Academia number 1 through 3, a magical not safe for work story by Mr. Smile Comics. Join sexy witches in their first year at Raven's Academy as they learn magic, make potions, and get out of naughty, dangerous situations. Harriet Pope is a new student at Raven's Academy for Wizards and Witches. She also has a dark secret. She's the most powerful witch in the world, and she's being hunted. This is another not safe for work book. That's an actual comic. There's an actual story. There's actual focus on interior sequential art, and they show it off really nicely. That art is highly detailed. It's manga inspired. It's just brilliant to look at. Really terrific cover art and design across a variety of nude and clothed options. This one has an initial funding goal of $1,000, which it's blown past. An end date of February 11th, an estimated delivery month of June. It's 40 pages with a lowest digital tier price of $7, a lowest print tier price of $10. And then we have I, Dragon Trilogy, a medieval fantasy graphic novels box set by Alien Books. So this is a corporate comic. A castle under siege, a battle for the throne, and a dragon that lives in a volcano. Juan Jimenez, I, Dragon, is now in English. In the year 1280, the inhabitants of the Rosenthal Castle found themselves surrounded by a massive army. Led by the bastard descendant of a lost royal line who has returned to stake her claim to the throne, she sets out to begin a long and bloody war for power. Just truly gorgeous presentation design here. There's a spot foil slipcase reward available that is going to look good on any bookshelf. Top-notch fantasy cover art and design, beautifully rendered interior art, color, and composition. It has an initial funding goal of $2,000, which it has exceeded already. An end date of February 12th, estimated delivery in March. Each of the 3 graphic novels is 56 pages, so by my math, that's 168 total pages of story for a lowest digital tier price of $19 and a lowest print tier price of $29. That's serious value for the level of work and the presentation that you're being offered here by Alien Books. Really want to check out if you like fantasy. As the end of January approaches, the Kickstarter comics category is filling up fast, but a solid portion of that volume consists of some really good comics, and that's a promising start for the year 2025. Here's hoping that upward curve gets steeper with every passing launch day. To keep up with daily launches in the Kickstarter comics category, join me, writer and self-publisher Kevin Laporte, on Substack at thecomicscrowd.substack.com. Subscribe for free and enjoy routine analysis of every single comics campaign that drops on Kickstarter. Paid subscribers gain early access to daily podcasts that review daily launches.